Hi, my name is Eric with Followup CRM. Today I'm here to show you how we help contractors close high profit jobs and clients. Maybe you're a contractor out there, and what I'm going to teach you today is why your current process doesn't work, how we helped one of our clients close these kinds of high profit jobs and clients, and then learn how our system could work for you. So if you're here today, you are probably managing your leads and your bids and your clients on spreadsheets and bid boards, and maybe even paper if you're still stuck in the 90s. A lot of people are. A lot of our clients are still on papers and manila folders. But what you're doing now is actually holding you back. These things don't work anymore because you might forget to follow up with somebody. Bid dates are missed, follow up in sales pipeline is neglected, you don't know what your team is doing, leads and bids are falling through the cracks. If you're on spreadsheets, everybody's managing themselves however they want to. If you're on a bid board, it's just a piece of furniture that is in your office. And not only that, you can't get the information, data, and reports you need to manage your leads, bids, and clients the way that you need to. Or maybe you're using a service platform or accounting tool. It's just not a true sales system so that you can manage your leads, your bids, and your clients. It's just holding you back. And your leads are precious. Every time a lead comes into your business, that is money that is walking in or out of your door. And if you don't treat that as precious cash, then things are falling through the cracks. So I want to share with you, maybe your process kind of looks like this. A lead calls into your office, maybe the receptionist or someone writes down the contact information for a salesperson on a piece of paper and they leave it on the salesperson's desk. Meanwhile, the salesperson is out doing client meetings, doing takeoffs, doing estimates, doing proposals, running around the town, and hopefully they get back to the office in time to call the lead, and hopefully the lead hasn't called another person because their roof is leaking and their air conditioning is out and they don't go with another contractor. So hopefully the salesperson gets to the lead, calls the lead, and tries to set up a meeting. Did you know that 48% of salespeople never follow up with the lead? It's because of that reason right there. It just sits on their desk, falls on the floor, goes in the trash, and that precious dollar is walking right out your door. Did you know if you call a lead within 1 minute of them reaching out to you, you have about a 300% more opportunity of getting in contact with that lead and closing the deal right on that spot. And especially if you're a service-based business, usually the first one to get to that lead, the first company to get to that lead closes the deal. Now, if you're a construction-based company, then it's more about developing the relationship over the long term. But all that to say, the salesperson is very busy. They have a lot to do with setting appointments, doing a lead, doing a takeoff, doing estimates, proposals, creating all the package necessary for the client, following up with deals, closing deals, managing jobs. It's just you're wearing multiple hats. Now the problem is either that all this client information and lead information is in the salesperson's head if you're doing things the old way, maybe on paper, maybe in folders, maybe in emails, all over the place. There's no one centralized place to manage all your leads, bids, and clients. So in order to gain control of your business, your team, your process, your revenue, you need a system like ours. So I want to show you what we did with Best Roofing, a commercial roofing contractor in Fort Lauderdale. That's Greg Wallach in the middle, the owner, and then his sons who work at the company. But they were commercial roofing contractor of the year in 2018, and they were featured on their magazine. But Greg back in the day was a lot like your company, not managing his leads well, not managing his proposals well, not managing his team or follow-up really well. Basically, it was a eat what you kill mentality. But once he got a sales system in place in his business, he was able to really become a revenue generating machine. And now they're on track to hit $60 million in high profit jobs, and they're doing great, having a great time. So Greg's process really did look like the process I described to you before. But when we put Followup CRM into their company, they were able to get the most out of every lead, bid, and contract. So I want to show you what we're actually doing with Followup CRM. All of this that you're seeing right here is managed through Followup CRM. And this is kind of what it looks like after we worked with Greg. So a lead calls into the business, and what they call is a business development coordinator, which is an administrative type help for sales team, enters that opportunity into Followup CRM, and a folder is created. From there, an appointment is scheduled for what they call a forensic roof specialist, which is a sales or an estimator. And an Outlook email is sent to the salesperson to coordinate the meeting with the lead. From there, that folder is created, and the salesperson is scheduled to go out on that appointment. And from there, they confirm that meeting with that lead. From there, they do the on-site visit or the roof audit in their case with the client, take the measurements, do everything that they need to get the information so that they can deliver a proposal. And then once that proposal delivered, it either is sold on the spot or it gets entered into their pipeline. Because as you guys know, some of these opportunities will close in the same week, but some take months or even years to close. And you need a system to manage and track all of that. If a contract is closed, then it's passed off to their planning and project management team. So what was the result of managing all of their leads, bids, and clients in Followup CRM? Let me show you here. When they first started with us, they bid $55 million for the year and closed $8 million of that at an 18% closing ratio rate, which is not too bad. But you can see year after year right here how they grew their company. This was several years ago. I believe this data was collected back in 2012. And so consistently, you can see they've been growing their closing ratio year over year to make sure that they're able to grow as a company. And this year, they're on track to hit $60 million in revenue. And over here, you can see how Followup CRM is being used at another client in a sales meeting. So I know that this might be a hard concept for people to get. It's really nice to see it on paper, but I want to show you what this looks like in real life. So now that we saw that in real life, I want to show you how Followup CRM manages that exact process. So I'm going to talk about this homepage in just a minute. I know it looks fancy with all its graphs and charts. We'll get back to this in just a moment. But when a new lead calls Best Roofing, the receptionist picks up the phone and transfers them to the business development coordinator, who first creates a new file and qualifies the opportunity to see if it's a good fit for Best Roofing to even take their time to go out there, meet the client, and do an estimate and takeoff. So what they would do is enter in the job name, address, and phone number of the contact, enter in the sales status as a new lead. They would also say where that lead came from, and then also assign the account manager on that job. They would ask them what kind of service they're looking for, what kind of client building that they might be working on, and if it's a large job or a small job, and out of their Fort Lauderdale office. So you can see it took 5 seconds to enter that information in, and what that business development coordinator would do would they would schedule a follow-up meeting, a follow-up activity for that account manager to get back to the person. So let's say, business development coordinator says your account manager will follow up with you today. They would click on that date, and this date interacts with the dashboard. The dashboard is the place that brings all of your activities together, so you know exactly what needs to get done, when, and who needs to do it. So now that the business development coordinator has scheduled a follow-up call for the account manager, here are all the follow-up calls that the salesperson needs to make today. How does he know? Because they're red, all triggered by the due date. So here this person has a couple of leads to follow up with. Once that happens, they will schedule a client meeting. And that is this section here. You can see there's no client meeting currently scheduled for this person, but if there was, they would come in here and see what they had due today. Here you can see that there's 2 takeoffs due, and there's also an estimate that they have to get done. So let's say you as a salesperson, you're coming in here and you're taking care of this estimate. You click into that job. You can see the job here, what it's in a budget status, and once that estimate is complete, you just check off that box and move on to your next activity of drafting the proposal. So from there, a couple of other things that are really nice. We have an Outlook integration so that you can push these activities to your calendar and have that on your Outlook calendar. We also have email tracking so that you can track all the correspondence about this job to this job file, and it is saved in this Outlook integration section right here. So you as a salesperson are managing your activities, managing your leads, managing your jobs, and then from there you have the opportunity to get really nice client data to see who's giving you work, who's not giving you work, who might be wasting your time. And so for that, I'm going to pull up a client that this company works with often called Easton. It's a property management company in this scenario, but this could be a GC or any other kind of client. Here's the company information, the contacts at the company, and then all the jobs associated with that company. So if I clicked into these files, it would take us back to the file page that we were just at. Now, my favorite part here are the company analytics. This shows you basically how good of a relationship do you have with this client. You can see the historic closing ratio. They close at a 30% with this client, which is great. They've won $2.3 million worth of bids, 34 bids exactly, with this client. And you can see all the ones that they lost as well. Here is the pipeline, meaning open jobs that haven't had a decision yet. Here you can see that there are 8 bids in the pipeline, and they have 3 bids that are hot. They have one bid that is 6 months out and then 4 bids that are a year out. So we looked at the contacts, we looked at the jobs, we looked at the clients, we looked at your activities. Now I'll take us back to the homepage where that will make a lot more sense. And what this does is give us that 10,000 foot view of all the sales and estimating activity at the company. So here is the entirety of the company pipeline, all the bids out there on the street. You can see this blue sliver right here are contracts that they expect to close in the next 30 days. And these 29 bids in this category are all these 29 jobs right here. So the best of our companies that we work with throw this up on the screen at their weekly sales meeting, run down the list, and they keep their people accountable to these jobs. And what Best Roofing says is, if the job is in that category, then you're betting your paycheck that we're going to win this job. So I'll take us back to the homepage here, but there are other pipeline categories that you can use to manage your opportunities. For example, this red category is what's hot. These are close to be making a decision. The yellow is about 6 months out, and active is a year plus out. So you have to make sure your pipeline is filled if you're going to be closing a consistent amount of high margin type of work. Now over here, we have your closing ratio as a company, and we can get into a lot of details about that, but we can do that later on our one-on-one call. Right here in the center is the captured contracts. You can see right there exactly where they're at for the month. They're on pace to hit their goal of 4.3. Right now they're at 3.6. I can drill down into that if I wanted to, but also over here, this chart on the left-hand side, this is all their bids for the month, $15 million, and they're over their goal of $13 million. What Best Roofing knows that if they bid $13 million at a closing ratio of 35%, they will hit their revenue objective of $4.3 million. And that's how you're able to basically generate predictable revenue at your company. What you bid by your closing ratio will help you achieve your revenue quotas. Now, over here are the activities that we saw on the file page. We track all the activities in the file that your sales and estimating people are doing so that we know what gets measured, gets done, and if it's not tracked, then it cannot be managed. If you're tracking it, then you can manage it. So this is everything at a company level, but you also have it at an individual level. So if I switch this over to a salesperson at Best Roofing, when he logs in the morning, he gets to see this same information, but filtered for his own name. And he's personally managing 134 bids out there on the street and is expecting to close 12 of them. Now imagine if you personally were trying to close 134 opportunities. You would be running around like a chicken with your head cut off, not knowing, what is hot, what is not. Imagine doing that in Excel. You can't do it. You need a system like this to manage everything properly and take your business to the next level. You can see his closing ratio. He's a rock star, 47%, and he's already overachieving on his quota. That is the Followup CRM system in a nutshell. There's a lot that I did not go over today, but if this is something that you would like to talk about pricing, talk about next steps, book a call with me through our calendar link, set up on one-on-one time, and we can go over details of implementation and what next steps would look like. So click the button, schedule a call. We'll talk to you soon.